What if I told you that everything you knew about connection was incomplete? That true connection, the kind that transforms lives and communities, is not about sameness, but about our willingness to bridge the gaps between us. We often think of connection as something that happens naturally through shared experiences, backgrounds, or beliefs. And the media thrives in making the collective believe there's an us and a them, and we're not supposed to trust each other. But the most profound connections, the kind that spark change, are built when we embrace differences, lean into discomfort, and choose to see others beyond the surface. I know this because I've lived it. At 20 years old, I arrived in the United States with no high school degree, no money, and a suitcase full of dreams. Today, I am an immigrant. Soy Latina. A mother of daughters. An award-winning author. In North Carolina Women Business Owners Hall of Fame inductee. I have achieved financial independence and professional success. I have spent my life forging connections across divides. Not because it was easy, but because it was necessary. I remember one particular night, came home from work, it was late, my daughter was asleep, the house was quiet, and I sat at the kitchen table with textbooks open, my eyes burning, and my brain trying to absorb accounting terms in English that I had just barely begun to understand in Spanish. There were moments I questioned everything. I felt like an outsider in every space I stepped into, at work, at school, even in my own neighborhood. But I also remember one professor who saw me, not just the struggling student, not just the immigrant woman, but me. And he stayed after class one night and he said to me, Carolina, you don't have to be like everyone else in order to succeed. What you have, that perspective, is powerful. And it was the first time that I realized that my difference wasn't a liability. And it was because he chose to connect with me, not by fixing me, not by explaining me away, but by acknowledging me, that I kept going. That one small bridge became the foundation for so many more. You see, we assume connection is about familiarity, that it happens when we find common ground. And while that can be true, it's also limiting. Every breakthrough in my life came from reaching across differences. When I started my business, I had no sales or marketing experience whatsoever. What I had was my story, but I was terrified to share it. But there was one mentor, another connection, who said to me, your story is not your weakness, it's your bridge. And that moment changed everything. I leaned into my unique experiences, sharing my journey with authenticity. And the more I did, the more I attracted clients who saw themselves in my struggles, even if our path looked different. I wasn't just offering a service. I was offering a connection. So what does this mean for us? It means rethinking the way we build relationships in our workplaces, in our communities, and even in our personal lives. Instead of seeking echo chambers of agreement, we need to create spaces where diverse voices thrive. What if workplaces encourage opposing perspectives rather than stifling them? What if we saw conversations with people who think differently as opportunities rather than conflict? What if we didn't just connect within our comfort zones, but actively sought to build bridges where they are needed the most? Ladies and gentlemen, the world doesn't need any more networks of sameness. It needs courageous bridge builders. Because connection is not just about being wired for it. It's about being willing to reach across, to listen, to understand, and to let go of the fear of others. So the real question is, who will you connect with? Not despite your differences, but because of them. Because when we embrace this mindset, we don't just connect, we transform. So I'll leave you with this challenge. What bridge have you been avoiding? And when will you have the courage to build it?